been testing out the IVI for 2 weeks now. It's pretty impressive. In terms of 3D printing, I spend a lot of my time doing 3D printing stuff. I'm a design teacher, so finding something that works well in school that can be frequently changed and have kids operate as well is something I'm always looking for. And certainly with the FDM side of things, I've had a lot of bad luck with printers that just printed mediocrely or printer didn't stick or things like that. So I'm really quite impressed with what I see here on IVI. Now what I've done just now is just finish printing a little miniature up, because that's one of the things I use 3D printing for a lot. So I've printed one on the IVI. I've got my resin printers comparison for us to have a look at to see like the different quality between the two. Obviously I'm not expecting this to be resin level because of the differences between the two, but I'd be really interested to see what this looks like because I haven't looked at it at all yet. So let's go over to the IVI and we can have a look. I think before I even get this out, I should really just have a quick talk about the actual printer itself. Like, the build quality of this thing, it's so solid, so well done. Even down to simple things like the hinges used on the doors. I'm so impressed with the quality of this thing. And then even when we go up to the top, get into my filament and things, you got some exhaust ports to the side and you've got your filament input, but even to reload it, this is the thing that pulls out and lets you load it. It works really well. So pop that back on, the right way around. Touchscreen wise, really quite responsive. This message, nothing to worry about. It just means that it's finished and I've left it idle for a while. So it's just reminding me to rehome it. In fact, let's have a quick look here while it's up. Like, you've got really easy access to all the things you need to know, like what temperatures are on at the moment, what connection you've got. It automatically detects this. You've got a fan setting so you can set it to cool down quicker. Mine's finished, so I can just immediately click reprint to print a second one, complete it. If I look in the control, you've got access to the tool head, like how fast it's going to move, direction, take it to home. And if I click into filament, you can see here it's got all the details about filament stuff, cool down mode, extrude, retract. If I want to add a new filament, I just click that and then it lets me to pre-choose what filament I'm putting in, so less of a hassle working with all the different settings and stuff to get it inputted. And then pretty much, apart from me feeding material in, it's kind of automatic the way it gets everything to work and to line up and feed everything in. So far I've only printed with PLA and TPU, but both came out fantastic. I did some nice stamps with TPU that worked really well for our classroom. We were doing an Ellis Island thing. So let's go back down here. Let's have a look. Let me find a place I can put the camera and still open the door. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So you can see here the starting material does a quick little print to make sure it's sticking. This is like a really scratchy surface which grips so nicely, and it's magnetically based, so you can pull it out. It's something I've really enjoyed with my resin printers, having a removable magnetic base. Let me zoom out a little bit now. So to get my print off here, quick bend and it's off. Two-sided as well, so if you mess up one side you've got another one. The laser cut and the let me show you that. Another base here, one for the laser cutting and one for the CNC milling. So that's a dual-sided one again. This one requires some screws to hold it down in place, which ideal really for CNC. And you notice all the little dots and stuff. So these are little, quite easy screw pieces that let me actually get those clamped in place to hold things down. I've got a little tree man here. This is it straight off its print, so it's still got all its support material attached. So let me just remove that, and then we can compare it to a resin version. Okay, so a couple of things to note here. One, I'm particularly heavy-handed at times, especially when I haven't locked in my support settings yet, which I haven't. This is done on default. All I did was I copied the 0.1 layer high quality settings from the IVI slicer, and I turned on supports. So I also picked a particularly difficult miniature. So if we look at the original, this is a cast and play young Ent. Pretty detailed. You can see it's got lots of intricate bits inside where you've got to get support material in. Now, ideally, you wouldn't print this on an FDM printer because just getting those supports out is going to be pretty tricky. But let's have a look at them in terms of print quality on the bits where I have actually removed the support material. Like, the quality of output is way above anything I've ever seen on an FDM printer. Now, to be fair, I've had, as discussed previously, a lot of poor quality 3D printers, but this, I would actually, if I could get the supports off, I would quite happily spray this up and use it. It's so high detailed. You can see a couple of layer lines in there. But I mean, you look at the comparison of the size against my finger, it's pretty decent. Now, I mean, I'm not going to really look at the back because I've done this in like 5 minutes, and I should have spent a lot longer doing this. Also, I'd be looking at setting my support settings up so this was easier to remove. But I mean, it's just fantastic quality. This is just under 40 millimeters in size, and yeah, I'm pretty blown away by that as my initial print and seeing what it can do at that scale. Yeah. Now here are some of the other things that I printed. This was my first print, like straight out of the box. This was one of the benches. You can see a couple of little overhang bits, but there was literally no support on this. You can see at the bottom, because of the way I set it up, picks up a bit of the roughness of the bed, but on one of the prints I did a raft, and the bottom came away a lot easier. But yeah, again, not a very big print at all, and so much detail, so fine the lines as well. This I've got to remove the support from yet, but I've already got a couple of these in action. This was made as a pole support for student volleyball for our PE teacher. So a pole goes in the bottom here and the bottom here, and the rope ties around here. And he seems to be having a lot of success with it. And yeah, that printed in about 15 hours at, I think, high quality, but I reduced it to 0.3 layers. Again, standard support settings. I will definitely be playing with those a bit. But yeah, again, solid, well printed, very few issues, like a small amount of stringing. That is literally the only negatives I can say about the print. And over here I've been trying to make some fantasy football tiles for fantasy football game I play. These are the Kraken ones. I haven't yet cleaned off this raft edge, but if you look at that again, it printed this way up with supports, and this was 0.3 quality, so you can see a few layer lines in there, but supports came away pretty nicely. I need to just slice off this bottom bit with such flat edges. The parts that are down here came out lovely. And here's one I did at 0.1. Like the quality, let me get that in focus for you. The quality again is pretty fantastic. This is 0.1. I can't see any lines in this unless I look really closely. You might notice these are off one of my previous resin prints that I never quite got square. It's because I printed it this way up and hadn't done any sort of raft, so it came away from the base still quite solid into the support, so I had to replace those, but not the printer's fault, definitely my setup on that one. But yeah, the quality of this is pretty great. And again, there's still a little bit of tidying up I need to do on this before I put it into a silicone mold for casting. On the other side, I've got the CNC route. This is the only one I've done so far, which is one of the test prints, but it did a really clean job. I haven't even washed this or anything yet. I've literally just brushed off the remnants, but this is all just from a vector line. So yeah, that was pretty impressive. I'd like to play with that a bit more, but obviously don't want to hold you guys getting up your printers by me spending more time testing it. This is my laser print. Now this was stopped intentionally because, well, I'm upstairs in my makerspace and there's no ventilation and there's a sprinkler system staring right at me, and I was a little bit concerned that I was going to get doused and all the 3D printers and everything were going to get electrocuted. But you see these little squares here, this is how you work out what the best setting is. So this will do a little test print and you then tell the software which one came out the best, and then it does the rest of the settings from there. Printed really neatly. To be fair, wasn't masses of smoke coming out of it, but enough just for me to be like, I'd kind of like some extraction on this. But if you're working somewhere near an open window, you have no issues whatsoever. Print came out really nice. Yeah. And something else I should show you here is how the rest of the parts came packaged. So these are all the different heads. This is the 3D printer one that's in at the moment. It's my laser. It's so easy to connect. I literally plug in, screw the loose FDM tube onto this so that it's not in the way. Brilliant design. And then these little cups, it's just ingenious. They've got little cup grips on a spring that just go over these. Just peg each one on, boom, it's done, it's connected. Turn it on, do some laser cutting. Yeah, I'm really quite impressed with that. Same over here with the, might be a bit harder to get out of the box, it's the CNC one. Again, same setting. It's got a nice connector on there. Allen key tightening. Whole range of different cutters. Spudger. Little screwdriver. Really like this. And its little hidden attachments for all the bits you need. Auto-focusing lens. Not lens. This is for the FDM. So this is all magnetic. Just in place. Plug it in. Let it go. I've not had a single problem with leveling. That's an empty bag. Must have had something in it before. Little spudger. And then a little box with some laser glasses in it. Very impressive. And then these are genuine WeChat messages I've had with Tiffany. I really am very impressed with the whole thing. Like the ease of use, the quick ability to switch things out, how well it prints, and I really am considering getting at least one more from my makerspace, because the kids will actually be able to use this and get their prints out and cleaned up fairly easily, which is always the biggest challenge. I hope you really enjoy your IVI when you receive it. The Tiffany and the team seem to have really spent a lot of time getting this to a really high standard, and I personally really appreciate their efforts in getting me a product that is so well put together and so effective. Thanks, guys.